Strength is something many of us learn early. Be independent, push through, don't complain, handle it yourself. For people living with a chronic disorder, that message can be even louder. Sometimes toughness becomes more than a coping strategy, becomes part of who we believe we have to be. But what happens when always being the strong one leaves no room for asking for help? And what if surrender didn't feel like giving up, but more like finally letting someone in? On this segment of I'm Fine, we're exploring the strength to surrender and the cost of toughness with Carrera Chrisman. For Carrera, strength wasn't always about confidence. It was about proving she belonged. Like many of us, she believed the strongest people were the ones who could handle everything on their own, even when they were struggling inside.
I think that strength has really changed between 21 and 25. Um, First off, a lot of life happens between 21 and 25, but also just the way I viewed strength when I was 21, it was more so trying to make everyone think I was as capable and competent as possible, even though I didn't know what I was doing whatsoever. And so I think what I always tried to portray is just like, I can do this. I don't need to ask for help. Like, if I ask for help, then they're going to find somebody better. But at 25, I would say it's more so just the self trust.
That instinct to prove herself didn't appear overnight. Years earlier, long before she found the bleeding disorders community, Carrera had learned what it felt like to stand out when all she wanted to do was fit in.
I didn't know about the community growing up at all. I had no idea. I was diagnosed with my bleeding disorder when I was 10 years old, I believe. And I wanted nothing to do with it whatsoever. I was playing competitive softball at the time, and just like it was really hard to be different because the thing that my doctor made me wear was like a face mask, and so that's like a neon sign that like, hey, you're different than everybody else. And the first thought is that you're scared of the ball, but that's not what my problem was. I just needed it for safety. And so explaining that when you're 14 years old doesn't really go over great. It completely shut me away from the just the idea of the bleeding disorder in general.
For years, hiding felt easier than explaining. Then she met people who didn't need an explanation, people who finally understood. And for the first time, the thing she'd spent years trying to hide became the very thing that connected her to others.
Coming in like blindly to the community, I really didn't understand a lot of people's perspectives about their bleeding disorder. I always thought it was something that was shameful. That's the way I felt about it. And so it was just like, why are these people okay with going to events and like talking about it? I'll never forget my first camp hug, which is our family camp. And then by Sunday morning, I was like, yeah, I get it. I totally understand why these people are here right now. I have ITP, it's a platelet disorder. And so I don't relate a lot of the time to hemophiliacs and VWD diagnosis wise, but it doesn't matter. Like we still got poked. We still had to do blood draws. Like we still have to do all that same stuff. We still got pulled out of school when we didn't want to be. We still had to take precautions when you didn't want to. And it's a very leveling experience. And I didn't realize how many people had really gone through exactly what I had gone through.
Something else changed, too. Carrera stopped seeing resilience as something you build by yourself, and instead she began to see it as something that's shared from one person to the next.
I am everything because of everybody that has ever said anything to me. Like I am nothing about without the people around me, and especially this community. I just think it's really important to acknowledge the people that get you to where you're at. And then also, once you get somewhere, or again, along that journey, be sure to be that person for somebody else because now you have knowledge that needs to be passed down to somebody else.
True toughness isn't always obvious, and it can be hiding behind two simple words: I'm fine. Words that can end a conversation before it even begins.
I am unfortunately a horrible person to say I'm fine all the time. I am guilty as charged. It's one of my favorite sayings. However, I guess it actually used to be. Within the past year, I've definitely made like a conscious effort to stop saying that and just to be more real with people. That's how you build connection with people. It's through vulnerability.
It's interesting. The walls we build to protect ourselves can also become the walls that keep us from being known. And for Carrera, learning to lower those walls didn't happen all at once. It happened one honest conversation at a time.
You don't have to perform any day. You just get to be yourself and you get to embody every part of yourself, which I think is so cool. And the more that you get to see that, the more validating it is because the more people are accepting of that because they want to see who you are. But the more that we put up that shield about like I'm fine, they can't see you. You're creating an invisible barrier when you're giving people the I'm fine answer and just being real with people. That gives them just that little inlet that they need to see even a little bit more of you.
Surrender is a word we don't often celebrate. It can sound like defeat. But what Carrera discovered was something entirely different. Not giving up, giving herself permission to stop carrying everything alone.
My 21-year-old self would absolutely be like I'm fine, like it's fine, it's okay. But that's a facade. That's again me trying to perform competence in that moment when again I was not fine whatsoever. I was so scared. I had no idea what was going on. I needed that guidance. I think that if you are willing to be more vulnerable in stages before you lose your absolute mind. To address being fine earlier, I think it's really just actually acknowledging the people that you have around you. It's seeing that you're part of something larger always. You're not in a bubble. Everybody lives lives outside of when you see them. And so like rely on them like they want to be a part of your life too, include them. And I think when you lean into that, then you feel more stable when things do come at you. And again, it doesn't feel like an earthquake. It feels like just like a shake.
Once we stop believing that we have to do everything alone, asking for help becomes a little less intimidating. And it doesn't have to begin with telling everyone, it can begin with telling one person.
It's finding one person that you connect with and letting them see you and then seeing that that's okay. And then you can build on from there. Try to talk to somebody new. Try to put yourself out there in a way that you haven't before, but it still feels authentic to you.
Today, Carrera spends much of her time helping other people find that same sense of community. It's become both part of her work and her purpose.
I currently live in Phoenix, Arizona, and I work at Arizona Bleeding Disorders doing community engagement and advocacy work. I'm also a part of NYLI. It's a really cool opportunity for young adults to be able to get more involved with the community through MBDF, and they give them resources and just opportunities throughout the years that you're involved to be able to find a path for yourself in the community or build upon a path that you've already found within the community.
Pretending we're okay does not make us stronger. It often makes us lonelier. Arguably, the strongest thing we can do is trust that someone else is willing to listen when we reveal what's behind the phrase, I'm fine.
I think that phrase really means that you have to trust yourself. You have to let go a lot of control and what your expectations are to be able to actually like have the freedom to be yourself and be vulnerable because there's real strength in that. When you lose that barrier, it feels like you don't ever have to worry about being or like presenting as I'm fine anymore. You just are fine and you know that you're going to trust yourself to get through whatever you need to.
Looking back now, Carrera can see just how much energy she spent trying to prove that she was okay, trying to prove she was tough, and she knows exactly what it cost her.
I'll never forget with softball, like again, like having that mask, it made me feel like I had to perform so much better to be able to just like even overcome that barrier and like just be like, I'm tough, guys. Like it has nothing to do with me being scared of the ball, but I can overcome this. Like it just makes you work so much harder. But like out of spite. It's not for the love of the game. It's out of spite. And I think that that's a really tough thing to try to get over. And I think that's the way I was coming at my bleeding disorder for so long. It's just like it sucks that I have this. Nobody else has to deal with this. And you know, it's just it's really it's been awesome to now not have to like have a constant like guard up. Again, it's that barrier of like telling people I'm fine. See, like I'm normal just like you. Like I can do everything. And it's like, you know what? Even if I can't do everything that you can, like that's cool.
Real strength isn't about proving you can carry everything alone. Sometimes it's trusting yourself enough to let someone else in. Because I'm fine doesn't have to be the end of the conversation. In fact, often it's just where the real one begins.